Okay, sorry about that. So yeah, some of these companies are going to be in person, some virtual. Like I said, many of them, 5 are going to be doing virtual and career fair. If you're interested in getting an internship or full-time position, we recommend that you attend the info session. They're likely to remember you, and once they have your resume, they'll reach out. It shows that you're proactive and that you really want the position. Yeah, the resume booklet, it's going to be sent to all these companies. The resume deadline for tomorrow evening, we know it's soon, but Pacific Life usually has info sessions right away. And they like to have the booklet as soon as possible. So you can find a calendar of the info sessions on our website. It's still being updated, but this week's and next week's will be present. I know this week we have Pacific Life on Thursday at Sobel Hall, and that'll be at 2 p.m. in person. And then on Tuesday, we have one with Allstate, and that should be online. And we'll be sending out notifications each Monday for the current info sessions and events. So first, we're going to take a look at a sophomore sample resume. So I know that this is kind of general for lower classmen. Usually you won't have an internship. Some of you may have passed exams. So it's really going to be important that you talk about any work experience that applies to the field. And I'll mention what work experience exactly is good. And you're going to want to include relevant coursework. I know that many of you that are freshmen or even transfers, you're anywhere from 18 or even 17 to 19. So it's very difficult to have had like a high ranking position, at least for a job. As we can see here, we have, it's 1 page. That's going to be one of the industry standard 1 page. Usually if you have more than 1 page, it's a little strange unless you've been working for at least 5 years in the industry. And in that case, you may want to have a cover letter for research opportunities and such. So yes, we have, of course, the university, the major, the GPA, and it's really important to include your graduation date so they know when they can contact you for an internship or if you're available for a full-time position. And if you have not passed an actuarial exam, it's very important that you list that you're sitting for one. You want to show the employer that you are trying to pass one and that you're currently studying. Now, only put sitting if you have actually paid for it. When I first came to UCSB, I had sitting and it was 6 months in advance. I went to the workshop and I was told it's not realistic. But if it is 6 months in advance and you have register, then go for it. And then also you can have the VEE requirements. So if you've done economics or stats, financial accounting, things of those sorts, definitely mention it. And you don't need to explain what it is. If you're applying in the actuarial field, they know what the VEEs are. Moving on to work experience. So like I said, I know a lot of you that are younger won't have really important work experience, but if you've done anything, and tutoring is a great one. If you've had any position of power and managerial in terms of if you were a part-time manager at your job, or if you led study groups, something like that, you want to show that you have leadership. Like we stated, talk about your classes, because these classes apply to internships. And then computer experience, obviously, languages, and yeah, awards, leadership, things like that. And one last thing is activities, hobbies. I would definitely include languages. For instance, here, Arthur, English, Spanish, and Japanese. That's impressive. That's, if you know more than one language, definitely list it. It opens you up to more opportunities, possibly in other countries, or working with, third-party companies that are outside of the United States. And activities like hobbies, hiking, for me, it's soccer or music festivals. You can mention those. I wouldn't talk too much about it, but you can mention it with the hope that the recruiter or the person interviewing you has the same hobby or similar. It's a good talking point, and that's the main thing there, just a talking point. So don't spend too much, don't waste too much space on that. And would you like to go over the senior sample resume, Aaron?
Yeah. So this is my personal resume that I have put up um, for everyone to view. So once you become a senior, you get, of course, a lot more work experience. You get some exams down and you go further into the course work of actuarial science. So you sort of understand what actuarial science and what the career entails. So next slide, please. So of course you want to put your name, any contact information, phone number, email, also your LinkedIn to so that you can show off your recruiters, your profile, and any relevant experience there. Also, you normally as students, generally you would want to put your education and any leadership experiences you have on top because you are a student after all in the beginning. Put down your relevant coursework, any actuarial exams passed. I'm sitting for exam IFM in November, shows that you're committed and you want to continue taking on exams. Also, any leadership opportunity, any leadership experiences that you have is also great to show that you're capable of independently working at an internship. And as for professional experiences, I had the fortunate opportunity to have multiple internship experiences. I'm currently working at Aon right now. And recently, just like 2 hours ago, I got the full-time return offer. So I'll be continuing with Aon. But in terms of resume, you want to make sure that you're actually putting down descriptions that are measurable and specific to what you actually contribute to in the position that you are in. An easy way is to do metrics. So for instance, if you see Cerritos College, the third bullet point, increased passing rate of math class to 75%. So something like that is measurable and would really stand out. Also, be aware of any abbreviations that you might use. Some people may know what it means or they don't. So just be careful about that. And then for skills and interests, definitely you want to highlight any coding experience. Excel is very big. In the internship that I'm currently doing, Excel is very big. And then interests. Interests are a great talking point, and it shows a different side of you. I would suggest for interest, maybe doing something that is closely related to the position that you're applying for. So personal finance, entrepreneurship, if you do investments, things like that, that closely relate to an actuarial position.
Thank you, Aaron. So these are just some general tips, formatting and content. So yeah, font size would be between 10 and 12. Times New Roman, Arial, or another common font. You don't want to use a wacky font. And then it should be no more than 4 bullet points. Now, if it's something that you did for a while and you've gotten a lot done at that position, then it's okay to have more than 4. I would say then 5 max. I have one that's 5 bullet points. That's because I worked as a tutor and I was interim manager for 3 years. So I worked a lot with, marketing, advertising, teaching and managing. And then I definitely say, show your resume to your friends at the least, maybe to family. And if you've created any connections with professors, even if you haven't, it's always good to reach out to them. Many of them at UCSP are willing to help you. And it's always good to have someone in the either actuarial field or that's at a professional position help you. In terms of content, like Aaron said earlier, show that how you've brought change and how exactly, you've done it. So like, yeah, created or helped new programs. And you can talk about numbers. So like when I worked at that tutoring company, I helped improve advertising the marketing helped increase sales by 35%. So like you said, metrics, you want to have an actual number to show what you've done. Or yeah, talk about new programs, how you've made things more efficient through like an efficient process. And yeah, like just positive change that you brought. One thing that you can use if you don't have, well, even if you do have experience, I would say course projects. Um, this mainly might be upper division courses, but a good amount offer in-course projects. Another thing is case competitions. That's something when I came in as a transfer, I didn't have any exams passed and I had no experience in the actuarial field. And I did a case competition with UCLA. And after that, that was the main talking point of, I had 6 interviews after that with different companies. That's all I wanted to talk about, because that shows that you're proactive, you want to learn more. And with these case competitions, you will learn things and practice things that actuaries will do. One of the courses is Pre-Stat 183. Some of you may have heard of it. It just gives you real world experience. For my case competition, that's what it was focused around. So yeah, definitely go after those. And then be wise. Don't only list responsibilities. This is a mistake that I made in the past before I got to UCSB. I list, oh, I had to do quality control and I had to collect boxes and I had to talk to people. You want to talk more about how you were successful in those responsibilities instead of just listing them out. A lot of people do that, but if you show your achievements, it's a lot more impressive. This here is an action verb list from Harvard. Yeah, you can find some online as well. This is one that I use. It shows for each type of leadership, communication, organization. You're going to want to try to don't use the same action verb more than once. Because you start your sentences, your bullet points with action verbs. Try to stray away from using verbs like action verbs like used or like talked. Organized is okay, but there's also room for improvement. And mistakes to avoid. Like I said, trying to be repetitive. One thing is, especially with responsibilities, if you've worked at a company and you have done data entry, and then you have an internship and you've done data entry, there's no need to say that more than once, unless one of them was in Excel and one of them you use SAS or R. Even then, you're going to want to kind of switch it up, talk about what was the purpose of doing it and what you achieved. Over explaining and under explaining. Try not to lull on and talk too much about something. At the same time, you want to really sell them your experience and how you became, how you become a better candidate for a position from your experience. Don't try to think of everything you did in that experience, whether it's a job or volunteering. Same thing, lack of specifics. Talk about what you've done. A lot of times in a resume and when it comes to interviews, it's about selling yourself. It's about confidence, how much, you've done, but mainly you're selling yourself and to see how good of a fit you are for a team. Like we said, talking about responsibilities instead of accomplishments, try to avoid that. Mentioning high school. Now, only mention if you were like valedictorian, salutatorian, president, founder of a club, maybe secretary. And this is going to sound mean, guys, I'm sorry, but a lot of people at the school have above 4.0s. And it doesn't matter because there's people that, like I transferred here, I didn't have a 4.0. And I know a lot of other transfers, but we're in the same boat now and we're applying for the same jobs. Like I said, only important positions, big things you've accomplished. If you've been the president of a club, that's great for leadership. If you've been vice president, that's great as well. If you were top of your class, you can list that. If you helped found a club or bring a program to the school, definitely list that, but definitely don't list your GPA. It's behind you now. You're in university and you want to talk about your GPA currently. I would say don't include an objective. This is something more of for a cover letter. In cover letters, you introduce yourself, and it's specifically for the person you're writing it to. You're going to talk about what you can bring to the company, how you can bring change, and how your previous work experience will help you be successful. So that's something that you can elaborate on in your cover letter. Including jobs that have nothing to do with the industry. I'm guilty of that when I came to UCSB. I had an engineering internship on my resume, and an actuary looked at it and told me, you're not an engineer, you're not going into that type of industry, so you really shouldn't mention it. Unless you've used languages like Python, for example, or SAS. I know SAS might not be as popular in engineering, but unless you've done things in that position that overlap with being an actuary, then you shouldn't mention it. Some of the positions that you definitely you should mention: consulting, sales, insurance, risk, finance, accounting, business, on and on. I'll say this: I had a position in sales for a few months, a sales associate, and at first I thought I didn't need it, but people in the industry told me you should. If you have sales or consulting, it shows that you are a sociable person, and being able to sell is a skill that it can take a while to learn. So it's a very valuable skill. And the same thing is for teaching. I know a few people that have tutoring on their resume. Definitely include tutoring. As an actuary, one of your roles is taking complicated information and kind of translating it to people that aren't in that field or don't understand really what you're talking about. And that's what you do in teaching. You teach a hard math concept, hard to younger students, but say algebra. To people that are, still learning it, it's very difficult. And with the skill of being able to translate it, it's really helpful. That's something that usually interviewers will ask me about. So this is just how to submit your resume. You can click these links. I'll be sharing this PDF later on, as well as a recording of the workshop. So things in highlighted are very important. One page only, PDF, in this format. It will not be accepted if it's not in this format. We have 50 plus resumes and we have to compress them to a booklet. So making it easier on us, we really appreciate it. And then deadlines. I know it's really soon, but this Wednesday, so tomorrow, 6:30 p.m. I suggest if you want to attend that info session, you should definitely work on it tonight. There are some other resources we'll talk about in a minute, but definitely work on it tonight. Ask your friends to look at it. And maybe if you have a professor tomorrow, ask them if they have time to take a look at it as well. Now, for all the other companies, aside from Pacific Life, it's going to be next Monday, 6:30 p.m. So over the weekend, you can work on it as well. If you don't think you're ready to go to the Pacific Life info session, at least to apply, I would definitely sit in, because you can get some info, some information from them, positions and whatnot. And it's good experience to learn about study programs and the culture of some of these companies for the future. We're having Sally Ezra from Ezra Penland host a resume workshop on Thursday at Sobel Hall, 12 p.m. And she's been helping actuaries in recruiting for 10 plus years, maybe 15. She has a lot of experience on this, so you can attend her workshop as well. But I advise you to work on it before then. It's going to be the same thing. It's going to be a presentation, but we might have the chance to ask her about resumes afterward. So definitely work on it. Resumes take a while to work on. Don't procrastinate, That's just how to contact us. I'm sure many of you, if you saw me at the library, you've scanned the QR code. These are some of our social medias. And yeah, like I said, you're gonna email us the resume. In terms of other resources, I know VMock is it's pretty good. I tell people take it with a grain of salt. VMock mainly as well for formatting. It will really dock you points if you don't have the standard at least half-inch margins, or if there's not spaces in between your dash, your hyphens. But it'll give you grammar feedback. You have 10 attempts, and let me drop it in the chat right now, actually.
Yeah, I put the link in the chat.
Oh, thank you, Aaron. Thank you. So yeah, definitely use that. You have 10 attempts as a UCSB student. They'll give you ratings based on the content, how clear you were, and your formatting. And yeah, hopefully you can, work on that. If you get something like a 70, don't be disappointed. I got a 74 and it took off 10 points from me because my hyphens weren't all spaced out. Yeah, they're really hard, like really hard when it comes to things like that. Yeah, definitely use it. Definitely use that resource. You can retry, work on it, and then resubmit it again, see what your score is. And that concludes everything. Does anybody have any questions? It can be, I don't know, about the submission, about even events this week. Any problems you have with your resume, anything like that, feel free to speak up or type in the chat. Anybody? Last chance. No? Okay. Well, if you have any questions, you can go to that workshop. I'll be at the library. Some of you, like I said, you see me at the library. Feel free to drop by and ask me. I can probably help you a little more one-on-one then. But yeah, thank you everybody for coming. Wait. So the recording it probably won't be updated till tomorrow morning, afternoon. It should be on the AA YouTube. I believe, Aaron, is that where we're going to post it?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So yeah, you can type in Actuarial Association YouTube, and that recording will be present. And yeah, definitely, I can't stress enough. Work on it. Work on your resume. Don't waste the last minute. A lot of times you think it's going to take you an hour, 2 hours. It can take many days or weeks, but in this case, you have a little less than a week. Yeah, feel free to reach out, and thank you all for attending. The first annual meeting is tomorrow at 5:30 on Zoom. Just as a reminder, and Ian Duncan and Janet Duncan are hosting an actuarial research event from, I believe, 9:30 to 4 p.m. So just before that. You can learn more about the master's program there and people that have helped, start it and continue the legacy. So yeah, thank you everybody for joining. I hope to see you soon.
Thank you, everyone.